Good morning, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about screen time, electronics, and kids. I say screen time because that is actually going to be the tips that I'm going to provide and what we have experienced as foster parents and respite care providers for up to 12 kids. Actually, no, I shouldn't even say up to. It has been 12 kids. It's been a lot. We've even had babies where they want screen time. Now you're probably wondering, how do babies want screen time? Well, it's a little device called the TV. So we have, I'm going to come into our living room for just a moment. We have all sorts of things that are at our disposal. We have the Wii. We have a TV. We also have another game system as well. And one of the things that I constantly hear from parents is, and are, their concerns about, oh, my kids spend so much time at the tablet. My kids spend so much time on their phone. All they want to do is watch TV. So one of the things that I have learned is parenting is hard when it comes to having to teach and train your child something new. That probably sounds weird, huh? Teach and train. Like, what are you training them to do? They're not dogs. Well, they are sort of like our dogs in a way, in that their minds work very similarly when it comes to teaching and training them to do new things. When we've had older foster kids in our home and they came in only knowing what they knew from their home, well, they didn't really have any boundaries. They didn't really have a concept of regulating their emotions, also meeting their essential physical needs. I need to use the restroom, I need to eat, I need to hydrate, I need to sleep. These are four of our basic essential physical needs that, well, need to be met all the time. And the fifth basic physical need, believe it or not, is our emotional spiritual self, which usually involves socialization. That's a little hard to do when you're stuck in front of a screen. So, like I said in the preview, sorry, I'm getting my laptop ready. Like I said in the preview, I'm not here to tell you how to do something. You may already have a great and awesome system for your kids, but there may be some of you that may actually be struggling. You're trying to figure out, like, how do we cross this barrier that we're dealing with right now? So here's what kind of spurred my thinking about sharing what we've done, what has succeeded in our home. For many of you who have been following my channel, you would know, because I also have it titled under my, at least under my video title, and it's blue highlighted, I live in Houston. So in 2017, Houston, well, I should say suffered greatly Hurricane Harvey. It was really, really hard for so many people. One of the, I would say, hardest things for families that were not relocated, that were blessed to not have to evacuate their home, they were cooped up in their house for days and days and days. There were people with power and without power. So when you're looking at a natural disaster, when you're looking at what I call the summer blues. The summer blues is when maybe you're not able as a family to go out and do things because perhaps the budget is tight. Maybe it's just not a good time because there may be other problems or other things going on in the home and you need to kind of stay close to home. Trust me, I get it. Perhaps it's not even that. Maybe it's a school holiday and you're not able to pay for additional babysitting or daycare. Whatever your reasoning is, screen time and on kids with electronics, that seems to be kind of a fixation for a lot of kids, especially when their routine gets thrown off. If you are a working parent, and this is by no means to criticize you, both Sean and I will be working foster parents. We were last year in 2018 for 3 of our girls that came into our home. We will be again for the next placement. We both have to work. So, I'm sure one of us would love to be able to stay at home. But if you are a working parent or if you are a stay-at-home parent and you are dealing with that struggle, I found a list that I abide to, not just for summer, even though it will say summer. I abide to it whenever we're dealing with something that throws our routine off. Think about what your normal, average, uninterrupted routine is. It may involve getting ready for school or preschool or daycare. It may involve going to mommy and baby or mommy and child play dates. It may involve a very specific schedule of eating, hydration, sleeping, playing, etc. Either way, think about what your routine is, and now think about if all of that or one part of that was completely disrupted. Your kids, for the most part, will want to cling to electronics. Now, if they've never been exposed to electronics, I guess this video doesn't apply to you. Let me show you a list of what Sean and I have used and how we've implemented this in our home with 12 kids that have come in and out of our home in the past 4.5 years. Okay, so like I said, even though this says summer, this can be used for any point in time. So when it says, before I get screen time, I need to, and we have to be able to check off all of these items. They have to be dressed, eat breakfast, brush the teeth and hair, make the bed, tidy our rooms, read for 20 minutes. Now, obviously, this is kind of contingent on the child's age. If the child is younger than reading age, or if they are struggling with reading, this involves a parent or caregiver reading with them for 20 minutes. Do one household chore. Okay, again, this is age appropriate. Obviously, if this is a very young toddler or a baby, where sometimes you allow some TV time, perhaps let this be some playtime for X amount of minutes, and you set the time. Play creatively for 20 minutes. Write, play music, draw, or do math. Any of these are fine, and we have actually implemented this. The play music, we don't really have any major instruments that children can play, but you can, get little keyboards that light up. You can do things on the computer and whatnot, so that is always an option. And then be physically active for 20 minutes. This may involve you having, as a parent or caregiver, to be involved with your child, whether y'all go on a walk or perhaps you jump up and down in the living room and do some sort of like baby kid yoga. Whatever you're able to find, make sure it is at least 20 minutes. But this is the list that we really follow and that has actually helped us. So that is what really has provided us sanity. And whenever we are issuing consequences in our home, in our home, we don't spank. And it's not because CPS has told us we can't. It's because Sean and I have always had strong feelings against spanking. And those are very personal reasons for us. So how do we issue consequences? Well, as the child grows older and as you work with the child and help them understand certain consequences with actions, decisions made that are not okay, that are not appropriate, they can lose screen time altogether for the day or that afternoon or that morning, whatever time you schedule your screen time, or they may have certain minutes docked from their screen time. We have actually done both, and we actually implemented this with a 10-year-old foster daughter of ours last year in 2018. And honestly, it actually worked really well because although yes, she was very upset and she threw her own version of a 10-year-old temper tantrum, she learned after we would talk with her very calmly, after we would explain things to her in a simple way that she could understand, we helped her realize that when she makes decisions or when she acts a certain way that is hurtful to her siblings or disrupts in classrooms or causes problems in other areas of life, that these are consequences to these actions, and for her to think about, trying to encourage her to think about before she acts. And you can't expect perfection from children. They're meant to make mistakes. And what we are meant to do as caregivers, as parents, is to help guide them understand that when we make mistakes, there are consequences to these mistakes. It's a chain effect, cause and effect kind of thing, chain reaction. That's what I'm looking for. So we use that also to kind of help keep our day rotating smoothly. But say you're cooped up in the house because of family illness, natural disaster, or something else that's just thrown off the entire family's routine. They don't have to go through all of those and then the rest of the day is screen time. I would suggest, if it's possible for you guys, to kind of rotate through some of that. Like if you have a child that really struggles with completing tasks because perhaps they come from a traumatized background where they are still struggling with trust issues and they're trying to figure out for themselves as well as comprehend that you will provide them the reward that they're seeking. So for some kids like that, you may want to let them do like step one, be dressed, and then have 10 minutes of screen time. Then take a break, eat some breakfast, or whatnot. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. Maybe they get dressed and have breakfast, and then they have like 15 minutes of screen time, and then they do, the next steps or whatnot. There are a lot of different ways of doing that. You don't have to go in order. You can jumble this up. This is for you guys to really kind of think about and try to understand, how does this work for you? Unfortunately, I don't know how to attach this to YouTube. What I can do is copy and paste the items from the checklist and put them in the description box. So I will try to do that for you guys, so that way y'all have just some ideas. But I hope this was helpful for you guys today, and I hope this provides you just some way to try to help ease that transition with you and your children on days that your routine is just completely jumbled and they are like, we want screen time, we want to watch TV, we want to do all the things. Now, even if this doesn't involve your routine being jumbled, if perhaps you're dealing with this as a struggle and you already have a set routine, maybe implement these little screen time rules and see if they actually work and see what happens. Either way, this information is there for you to experiment with and to try out and see if it works. And if it doesn't, I would love to hear how you guys battle the everlasting war of technology with kids and how we can help balance our kids with the technology that is so readily available for them. Remember, guys, technology is not the enemy. It is a tool, and we are capable of balancing how we use those tools. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I will see you next time. Bye.